안녕하세요. Chris Ro라고 합니다. My name is Chris Ro. If it's okay, I'll just speak in English. I am currently a professor in visual communication design at Hongik University. Um, Currently, I am specializing in a lot of different areas, but I really enjoy typography and I enjoy experimental form making and uh, things that perhaps exist on the periphery of design or on the edges of design. In high school, actually, I didn't really know what design was. I think I first had a kind of sense of design a little bit after high school, but I remember my first experience with design was in elementary school, probably with skateboarding graphics. I was really fascinated by this world, and I didn't know that later I would be doing something related to that. So I'm quite happy about that. In high school, I was originally going to, I wanted to go to art school, but my father had kind of won that war. And so I went to a school and I was supposed to study economics or business administration, but I did very poorly at that. I slept in a lot of classes and I didn't get very good grades, and it became obvious to me that and something that I know now is that I'm very much a maker, and so I had switched to architecture and so on and so forth, and now I'm a graphic designer now, and I'm very happy. In college, at university, I think I mean I've got several areas that I think that I'm trying to get the students to be interested in. I think the most important thing is I'm trying to find ways for the students to enjoy the process of design. So at what moments is there a kind of fun, or at what moments there's the kind that it just connects with their happiness. So for me, I'm a very much a maker, and I get the making is one of the only things that really makes me happy in the whole world. So when I get into it, there's a concept called flow from Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And when I get into this flow moment, that is the happiest moment for me. So I think I'm trying to convey some of these kind of processes to some of the students. So I think exploration, flow, finding, repetition, these kind of things are quite important to me. And I think when people start to look at design as a kind of sculptural or kind of making process, I think there's a lot of healing that also happens with that. And so I'm also quite interested in that process. So I'm hoping the students can also gain that. I've really just gone with the flow, and I don't think this is a good example. But I think I'm a late bloomer in some ways. So I'm understanding more at a later age than I did when I was younger, and I think I'm hoping that my future will be managed a little bit better. So that is the hope for that. But yeah, it's a learning process, and I think that's one of the things that I've learned is that I need to be okay with who I am, and I've made lots of mistakes. And if I am okay with those mistakes, then there's a lot to learn from them. And if I can keep making these mistakes, that's how I evolve. So I think that is part of the process, actually. I'm sure there's going to be a huge difference. I mean, I just mentioned I made tons of mistakes at the time. I think one of the things that I've learned is that there is a really strong business component to design that I didn't avoid it, but I just wasn't really practical about it. And in some ways, a lot of my experience, I didn't really know how to tackle it head on. And I think I've learned a lot now. I've learned a lot about talking to clients and dealing with expectations and how to communicate and make sure that there is a certain rapport with the client that I think engages in trust and mutual, hopefully, collaboration. And these are the kind of things I didn't know before. So I've made tons of mistakes about this, tons and tons of mistakes. And I think the same with the 50s and 60s. I mean, later, as I'm getting older, I think my hope is that the projects I do will continue to be more collaborative in some way. And I think what I've always been looking for is a kind of sense of trust, or a kind of feeling of trust between the client and myself, and how we're working. And I think I'm getting better at kind of setting up a framework for that to happen. But obviously, like everything else, it's a work in progress. Um, um, Again, I think it definitely has something to do with this process of flow, or this making. For me, I think perhaps I've always wanted to be a musician of some sorts, and I love this process. It's this kind of improvisational process of free flowing making and creativity. And I think that when I'm in that moment, and when something is happening, when this kind of magic is happening, I think that is very special for me. So I think, I don't know how to explain that in one sentence. I guess I would say um, design has a certain process where intuition and your whole kind of body and your soul can be part of the process. And I think as design is becoming a very logical profession, we should never forget about our intuition and this side of our design process, that I think is just as healthy, just as valuable, and just as rewarding.